My sister Risa and I were close. We had typical sister fights, nothing major. As we became teenagers, I definitely looked up to her. June 15, 1984 was a typical day. My sister had a couple friends that had come over. We all hung out. Her friends left later that afternoon, and my sister went next door to my grandparents' house. It had been about an hour. I had just been hanging out in the house. I started to walk to my grandparents' house and noticed that my grandmother's car, my grandfather's truck were both gone, and the front door was shut. So I just assumed my sister had left with one of them, which was not unusual. So I came back into our house. I was in my bedroom. I heard my grandfather screaming. I looked out the window, and he was coming out the front door. His hands were in fists, and he was just screaming hysterically. I called 911. I ran back next door, and I saw my sister in their spare bedroom. The entire room was just covered in blood. It was a horrible sight. And I saw my sister on the floor. She was mostly covered up with a blanket. I could see part of her face and her hair. I don't remember much more about the day Risa was murdered. It was just a big blur at that point on. That's the house my sister was killed in. A few days later, we were in the funeral home. There were hundreds of people. I remember being puzzled seeing her in the casket because she didn't look like herself. They had put stuff over her face to cover the wounds. She had been stabbed so many times in her face and neck, and they had to cover all of that. It made her look so different and strange. It just seemed unreal. A woman came up and got in my face and said, "Now, aren't you the sister? Tell me exactly what happened." It was insane. I was 13 years old. I was a child. I was very confused.
Well, imagine after all that, a devastated 13-year-old Jody becomes suspect number one.
I don't know why I was made the primary suspect other than the fact that I was home alone and so close when it happened. Right after her funeral, the detectives started interrogations with me. They would just make me go through details of the day over and over. I guess they were hoping I might slip up and say something different. They'd ask me point blank, "Did you kill your sister?" And of course I said no. The police made me give spit samples, hair samples, fingernail samples. My mother and father weren't allowed in the room with me. I was scared. I kept thinking to myself, are they going to arrest me for this? I felt like they had it in for me. At that point, they harassed me for a while, but once we had an attorney, they knew there was nothing they could do legally. They eventually left me alone. I believe they interviewed pretty much everyone in my family, but to my knowledge, I don't think they made my grandfather go through any kind of interrogations like they had done with me. If they did, I was not told about it. I guess they thought I was just too young. It was very odd that I was interrogated so much more than any other adult was.